Hi, and welcome to our 16th video in our Cybersecurity Labs for Beginners series. In the last video, I showed you guys how to do a network vulnerability scan. So we were able to scan our entire home lab network for vulnerabilities, and I can actually see the results here. So we did find 129 vulnerabilities altogether. And as we can see in the Metasploitable 2 machine specifically, that's the one I'm going to really kind of focus on, although the Metasploitable 2 machine definitely had a lot of vulnerabilities as well. But the number 3 here, Metasploitable 3, is the one that I'm going to be mostly focusing on. We can see that we found just 48 vulnerabilities, and we can see that I know that there is an Elasticsearch vulnerability. We're missing a lot of vulnerabilities here, and that is because we did a uncredentialed scan for the vulnerabilities. So today we're going to be going on how we can actually do a authenticated network vulnerability scan, and we are going to authenticate against our Metasploitable 2 machine and our Metasploitable 3 machine. So let's go ahead and let's see how we can actually set that up. So we're going to, once again, at the top right, we are going to go ahead and click on new scan here. And then we are going to actually do what I actually like to do in these situations is I like to do the advanced scan, and we are going to click on that. Now you can technically do a basic credentialed scan, but what I want to do in this video as well is just show you guys a bit more of the different options we have in the advanced scan. We won't necessarily be doing a whole lot more different, but I just want to show you guys the different options that are available. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do a home lab off network vuln scan. I'll just tag this one with YouTube here. And we're going to put that in the My Scans folder once again. We're just going to put that network range, which is the 172.30.2.1/24. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to go right away into the credentials here. And now we know that we actually have a Windows credential, and then the Ubuntu credential, we're actually going to be putting that as a SSH credential. But let's go ahead, let's click on Windows first. And it's going to give us plenty of options and a authentication method. So we're actually going to keep our authentication method as password, and we're going to put our administrator username. Now, since I know that this is just the default Metasploitable 3 account, the username is administrator, and the password, in case you don't know what the Metasploitable 3 password is anymore, it is just vagrant. So we're going to put that in here. And then the domain, we are going to leave that blank. And the global credential settings, we're going to leave those exactly as is. And then we're going to go ahead, we're just going to minimize that here. And we're going to put the SSH credentials now. And this one, we're going to want to change this from a public key to password. And the username is going to be the MSF admin. The password is going to be MSF admin. And we're going to do the elevate privilege with sudo. And then the sudo user is going to be the exact same here. And then the location of sudo, we're just going to leave that blank as is. The custom password prompt, we're going to do that as is. And everything else is going to stay the same. We are on port 22. And then the client version, we're just going to leave that as open SSH 5.1, because this is just the SSH client that Nessus is going to impersonate while scanning here. So once we actually have these two credentials, you'll also notice a third tab. Now we're not going to change anything here, but these are the different plugins or the different basically vulnerabilities that you're actually going to be checking for. So if we actually just click on this brute force attacks here. So you're going to see a bunch of brute force attacks, and you can enable or disable these, and you can actually just disable the entire plugin family. So this is something that if you just want to test very, very specific checks against your machines, you can definitely disable these as you see fit. So we're actually just going to go back into settings here because we don't want to change anything. As always, we're just going to leave the schedule as off because we just want these on demand. The notifications, we don't have our SMTP server set up, so we're not going to do any notifications. For the host discovery, I like to ping the remote host. I like to test the local Nessus hosts, and I don't really change anything in here. Now, if you do want to scan for network printers or some OT devices, this is where you're going to want to enable these scans. And then we can go into port scanning. So if you want to only scan specific ports, you can definitely do that here with the port scan range. We're going to leave that as default, and you can also tell it the specific way that you want it to scan for the network ports that are open. We're going to leave that as a SYN scan. Then it's the service discovery and identity. But since we aren't doing anything with Active Directory, we aren't going to be checking this box. Now for the assessment, again, most of these we're going to leave as default here, especially in general. Brute force. So in the brute force, you can actually enable Hydra. So this will actually brute force passwords if you want. And you can actually feed it a list of usernames that it will try and a list of passwords that it will try as well as it can try empty passwords, try login as password, and then stop brute forcing after the first success. So as soon as you get a success on a login, it would stop. But once again, we aren't going to be doing any of these. This is mostly just to kind of show you guys what is available. Now, if you do want to scan for your web applications, you can definitely turn this on, and then you will have, I would usually leave the start crawling from as just a slash, especially if you don't know what you're really dealing with. And also you can change the user agent that will actually be used by Nessus when performing those scans. So this would be extremely helpful, especially if you are trying to investigate through Wireshark or any of those other tools that you can use for network traffic. Maybe putting in something that you can clearly tell that it's the Nessus agent is definitely very useful, as long as you don't block any abnormal user agents with your firewalls or anything else. But this could be definitely very useful, especially if you're trying to isolate whether or not it is actually suspicious activity. If you put something very obvious here, and sometimes also you have to be careful with the user agent, as some things might not work if the user agent is weird. But that is how you would actually change your user agent to something customized. Or maybe you want to test if you've recently blocked a user agent, you can definitely use this user agent and change it to the one that you have blocked and see if it actually is blocked. Now you also have Windows here specific things. So you can definitely request information about the SMB domain. So you would actually query for the domain users instead of local users. But again, we are going to be leaving that just as is. If you want to scan for malware and then you want to feed it your own indicators of compromise or the own hashes that you want to scan, maybe it's not actually malware that you're looking for, but you know that you have a specific hash that you're looking for that you don't want to have on your network and on your devices, you would definitely add that in here. You can add a file of all the hashes, or let's say you know that you have a hash that might get detected, but you know that it's actually good. You can definitely upload your known good hashes as well. And of course, there are databases as well. I believe that these are more related to Oracle databases, but this actually it says Oracle database right here. And I have not actually scanned a Oracle database with this tool, so I can't really give you any extra knowledge on this database function here. As always, there's this report option that we aren't going to change anything, and the advanced, I would usually leave this enable safe checks. So this will actually disable any of those plugins that we looked at earlier that might have something funky that would happen on the remote host. So it's going to avoid causing issues. If you uncheck this, it can happen that your remote host may actually have problems and you're going to disrupt your typical workflow, especially if you're doing this in a production environment. It is probably wise to leave that enable safe check, especially if you're doing this during the day. if you have a planned time to do these vulnerability checks and it's on the weekend or late at night, it might be okay to uncheck this. You're just going to want to be probably a little bit more specific on what IP addresses you're actually scanning with these, and make sure that you're monitoring those to make sure that they don't go offline or nothing adverse actually happens. All right, so we can actually go ahead and we're just going to go back to the top here, which is the basic, and we're just going to hit save here. And we have our Home Lab off network vuln scan. So we're going to launch this. Now, of course, I've already done this scan right before filming this video. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, because this does take a little bit longer than the unauthenticated scans, of course, but we do find a lot more results. So once again, let's just go look at the unauthenticated scan first. We can see that we have 129 vulnerabilities, and the Metasploitable 3 machine specifically had 48. Now let's go into our authenticated scan here. We have 172 vulnerabilities, so a lot more vulnerabilities. And as we can see here on the Metasploitable 3 machine, we actually have a lot more vulnerabilities here. So we can actually see we have 95. So that is, I believe, just around double the amount of vulnerabilities. We can see that we've actually detected the Elasticsearch vulnerability. We've also detected the Manage Engine Desktop Central vulnerability that is on that Metasploitable 3 machine. So the authenticated scans give you a very, very big advantage in especially scanning. Especially if you're the blue team, you should be doing these authenticated scans, because let's say they do an unauthenticated scan of your systems, as in the threat hackers, and they get into your system and they are able to escalate privileges or actually just gain access. They don't need even escalated privileges, as long as they can get into the system itself, and then they see that you have this Manage Engine Desktop Central, or they see that you have Elasticsearch. Especially the Elasticsearch will allow you to do the remote code execution. And there's a lot more vulnerabilities here that are found. Of course, like I said, there's around double the amount of vulnerabilities that were found on the authenticated scans. Also, the authenticated scan just gives you a little bit more reliable results here. So we can even go into the Microsoft Windows here, and we're going to see a lot of the Microsoft vulnerabilities here that exist in the actual system itself as well. And if we go look at the end of life here, we actually have the exact end of life and not just a blanket statement of this OS is out of date. It will actually tell you the exact security end of life was January 14 of 2020, which now that has been just over, or just about over 5 years. We're about to go 6 years just about soon. But this is the advantages of those authenticated scans. You can definitely pick up a lot more vulnerabilities. So that is going to be it for this video, basically. And as you can tell, we passed all of the authenticated scans. There are a bit more in the Metasploitable 2 machines, but really that big benefit is that Metasploitable 3 machine with those Windows vulnerabilities. That's where you get a lot more detection with these authenticated scans. So that's going to be it for this video. We are going to have some more cybersecurity videos coming up soon as well. I'm going to keep that under wraps for you guys for next week to find out what exactly that is. And if you guys have any requests for videos of cybersecurity, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to do every single one of those videos. So this way you guys can learn a lot more and the whole community benefits as well. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified when that next video comes out, and I will see you guys on that next video.